What's up, everybody? I'm using my microphone because my daughter fell asleep on the couch. What I wanted to talk about today was spanking. As you can probably tell by the title, I think it's lazy, and I think if you spank your kids, then you're just being a lazy parent. I always thought I might spank my kids until I had kids. So the first thing about spanking and why I won't do it is because I really do not want to hurt my kids. I don't want my kids to fear me. I know some parents really like that, which I think is kind of weird and freakish. I just don't see fearing your parents as a loving thing. I don't. How can love come from fear? Love comes from a really positive place. Is where it should come from. But anyways. Wait, I lost track. Let's go back. It's weird. I don't want my kids to fear me. Honestly, I think innocence is probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I lost my innocence at a really young age. My innocence was stolen from me at a really young age. So I really think it's beautiful when kids can keep their innocence. And I think hurting them, including spanking them, which is hurting them, hitting them, is kind of another way to steal their innocence, because you're teaching them violence is a way to teach people lessons, and it's not at all. I don't want to traumatize my kids. I don't want to hurt them in any way. And I really think that the line between discipline and hitting to hurt, spanking to hurt, spanking to teach a lesson, the line, the place to find is a really tricky place, and I'm just not going to do it at all. I want my kids' self-worth and self-thinking to come from a really positive, strong place. I don't want their inner empowerment to come from a place of hurt, because when they're hurt physically, it turns to emotional and it affects you mentally. I do not want them to have to overcome hurt that I caused because I didn't want to spend the time to discipline them in other ways. I want them to have a really positive confidence in themselves. And I really think that spanking is going to traumatize your kid. It might not if you do it few and rare and you're using other means to discipline your kids, like talking, timeouts. There's only been maybe 2-3 times where my daughter completely freaked out and she was trying to hit me and screaming at the top of her lungs. So I had to restrain her. I did it maybe twice. I'm pretty sure it was twice, maybe 3 times, but it wasn't a lot. Did a couple times, and she learned not to do it. I just held her until she stopped and she calmed down. Gave her, a sip of water, because if I'm after crying or anything really emotional, a sip of water always helps. Always helps. We do timeouts, 3 warnings, and then it's timeout for their age. So if they're 2, they get 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Who does 2 minutes like that? 2 minutes. 3, they get 3 minutes. 4 minutes. 5 minutes. And on and on. And after their timeout, they're not just free to go play, which is what some parents do. My girl, we talk about it. I come from a difficult upbringing. Not entirely my mom's fault, no. My mom did her best. My mom did her best with what she had. But it was difficult. It was difficult for all of us, I think. and we're just trying to work on, every generation after being better. We're going back to the parenting. Timeouts, discipline, why spanking doesn't work. I think a lot of people just get stuck in the cycle of it. It's like, well, I was spanked as a kid and I'm okay. I hear that a lot. Kids these days, no, kids, since there has been kids, since humans existed, kids are kids. Kids are kids. They've always been the way, kids are kids. Kids have always been the way that they are. There's nothing different. The only thing that's different is technology and the natural changes in society. As we know better, as we grow better. That's why we are losing the spanking. I really think that spanking is ineffective because most of the time when it is used inconsistently. And people get in the cycle of, well, I was spanked. And they spank because it's just the thing that they feel they need to do at the moment that their kid is out of control. But usually that place where they come from out of control is because of inconsistent parenting. You have to be consistent in your parenting. You have to be there. You have to listen. You have to keep an ear out. You can't just send them to a room to go play and let them go wild. They're kids. Kids are wild. They don't think like rational adults. They don't. Let's face it, they're kids. So somebody who is rational always has to be there. They always have to be listening out. And when something happens that, your family isn't cool with, that you don't want them to think is okay, that you want to stop the behavior, somebody has to be there to make it stop. When spanking comes into play, it's usually when things have really escalated in whatever what was happening without anybody supervising or anybody being there. Or if you're just trying to get your kids out of your hair for a moment because you've been too busy working, or you just really don't want to, do the disciplining again and again and again, and the talking again and again and again, and the timeouts again and again and again. But that's really the things that work, is repetition. That's why people practice. That's why athletes practice all the time. That's why people rehearse things. Repetition works. Spanking does not. It's really lazy. It's really a method of parenting that's going. I always thought that if I was gonna have kids, I would spank them, but because of the consistency of my parenting, I really have not ever had to spank my kids. Only due to flaws in myself have I ever yelled at her once in a while, but I've always apologized and explained why I was yelling. We are human beings. There is something that we have that other mammals don't. We have language. That is seriously an important thing. There is no kind of confrontation. There is no kind of, what is the word? It starts with a C. There is nothing you can't solve without talking. You don't have to resort to violence. And I know some people will say that spanking is not violence, but it is. You're hitting a kid. You're hitting our most precious, innocent creatures. It's not gonna work. It doesn't work. It's lazy. It's scientifically proven not to work across all different kinds of countries. And I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not going to do it. Any other way that I can find to parent my kids, I'm going to do. And if anybody is really curious on how I parent, let me know. Comment, whatever. I'll make some more videos about it. Because I'm really, let's do this better. Let's make our parenting better. Let's raise our next generations to be better than we could ever be. That's the goal. Once you become a parent, that's the goal. You want those kids to be as best as humanly possible. And that is going to exclude spanking. Sorry, pro spankers, that's the truth. Spanking is just not the way to go. It's lazy, it's ineffective, and you're hitting these innocent little things. You say, oh, they're bratty, they don't listen, they don't learn, I've tried it all. You haven't. I know it. Because if you were just consistent and used your language skills, you could do it. Or even just, patience. You're an adult. What forces you to hit our young little children? Don't spank your kids, please. Spanking is not the way to go. Let's do better. Let's do better. Every generation, let's do better. And you know what? Our next generation who doesn't spank, they are going to learn much better. They're going to learn better skills. In the next parenting discipline thing that we find out, they are going to learn better. They're going to do better. And humanity is going to be better. And who knows? Maybe aliens will want to visit us. They'll say, hey, you guys aren't hitting your little innocents anymore. So, please, let's get off the spanking train and get on the consistent discipline train. And if you have other ways that you discipline your kids, let me know. I'm always open to finding other ways, but timeouts seem to work really well for us. My oldest, she's going to be 5 next month. She's going to be 5. Wow. 5 years. She's going to be 5 next month, but she puts herself in timeouts. It's usually when she gets upset is when she goes to timeout. She'll go into her room and close the door, and she calms herself down, and then she normally comes back and we talk about what happened. We talk. There's nothing you can't solve with talking. I firmly believe that. That's why we have language. That's why we evolved. We have a special thing called language, and it's an amazing thing. It's brought us so far as humans, and we just have to do better. Spanking is not a part of that spectrum. It's not a part of that amazing human spectrum anymore. No, it's not. Let's get off the spanking train. Alright. Peace out. A-town. Just kidding. Okay. Bye. And I just wanted to add that I really think parenting should be a community thing. And if you wouldn't let another parent discipline your kid in a certain way, then you shouldn't be doing it. So if you don't think that another adult should be, or another parent should be spanking your kid, then you shouldn't be spanking your kid.